Hi everybody, my name is Delaney, and I'm going to be talking to you today about dissociative identity disorder. Dissociative identity disorder is formally known as multiple personality disorder, which many of you may know. However, it does now have the name dissociative identity disorder because of multiple scientific research, theories, and proof that has come to be throughout examining people with DID. And it is also known as DID more of a succinct way of saying dissociative identity disorder. So we're going to be talking today about multiple things about DID to ensure that you are highly educated and to ensure that you know exactly what it is, to try and break the stigma that some of you may have around DID, and to give you the facts and educate you to ensure that if somebody is in your classroom that has DID, that or if you're a parent of somebody that you suspect has DID, or if you yourself may have DID, that you are better educated on the subject, that you know who and how to get help, and how to ensure that somebody that has DID has their needs met. So, some characteristics of DID is that it means that there are two or more personality states present within the mind or body, as some may say. That person may experience extreme amounts of amnesia where they don't remember certain things that have happened. They might not even remember you, just because, we'll get more into that later, but because another alter may have been fronting. This is not an imaginary friend. It's not somebody being possessed. It's not somebody that is evil. They're not criminals. People with DID are likely to be criminals, just like any other person out there, like any normal person. Actually, people with DID are less likely to commit crimes because they are victims of traumatic events, and mostly because they have experienced criminal acts on themselves. So, it's also not, DID doesn't come from physiological effects such as alcohol, drugs, or even like seizures of any sorts. It is a mental disorder that is a coping mechanism, and extremely effective coping mechanism for those that have been through traumatic events and have PTSD from these events, because they protect the mind and the body and the person that went through these events by setting up amnesic walls to ensure that these memories are suppressed so that the mind and the body can function normal. So I wanted to talk about I'm going to first talk about how common it is. And many people think that schizophrenia and DID are the same thing, which is completely not true. They are two separate, completely different things. Schizophrenia is when you hear voices and you manifest certain things that you feel are real within like everyday life. It can be from seeing certain things to hearing certain things that aren't real. Where DID, it is different personality states or alternate states of being that front themselves through the body and have completely different personalities. So alters can be completely different races from what the body looks like, different genders. So you can have a male alter within a female body, which can also lead to body dysphoria, I believe it's called. And they can also have different physical characteristics, so it's quite interesting, actually. So certain alters can be deaf. They can have to have prescription lenses. They can even be blind. Certain glucose levels have been seen where when people that have DID switch, they have different glucose levels and such. So there are scientific studies out there that have proven that there are physical characteristics that are different. Somebody with DID can also have non-human alters, which is a completely different video for itself and is very detailed. So I will link that video down below to somebody that has explained it way better and more depth than I have, that you can go check out if you want to educate yourself a little bit more on it, if you're interested. And yes, people with DID can have different physical characteristics than their other altered states of being. This does not mean that when they switch alters that their alter's going to want to just go change clothes real quick, or that they'll like have completely different hairstyles or something like that when they front. They can have different preferences on clothes and such when they are out. That doesn't mean that they are going to go in the bathroom and change real quick or something. It means that they have different ways of perceiving themselves that better reflects their own personality. So and 7% of the population is affected by DID, which is speculated. So it's actually more common than many people think. It's actually more common than schizophrenia itself. So it's quite interesting. So some misconceptions about DID is that they are prone to violence, which is completely not true. We already talked about that they're usually the victims of crimes rather than the people that commit them, that it's fake, and that is completely not true. There are multiple scientific research cases and studies that have proven that it is real. It is recognized worldwide by psychologists and scientists everywhere. And of course, we already talked about how it's not the same as schizophrenia. A lot of people feel like people with DID, or there's a misconception that they're out of control or that they are unpredictable, where certain alters may be unpredictable because they are misunderstood or that they don't understand what's going on because they are new. That can happen. However, if everybody is working cohesively in the system and the mental health of the person with DID is kept in check and is helped, that is usually, it's not the case whatsoever. They are highly functioning. They may have certain physical ailments such as chronic fatigue or an autoimmune disease because of the stress and the trauma that they experience. That can happen. However, they are not evil by any means or completely they're not murderers, which a lot of people may think, unfortunately. So some symptoms of DID in people that are starting to manifest this disorder, they can experience a lot of headaches, a lot of them. And it's not just I have a headache today, so I have DID. No, it doesn't get better. It doesn't seem to get better whatsoever. It's caused usually by switching personalities. So they'll get headaches. A lot of people say that the experience is similar to motion sickness. You're not really with it. You don't really know what's going on. And of course, then the other alter will come forth. Another symptom, and this has two parts to it, is memory loss. So the first part of memory loss is childhood memory loss. So they have large gaps of their childhood that they don't remember. And it's not just I don't remember that one time that I played with this friend on the playground or something like that in my childhood, or I don't remember my 5th birthday party or something like that. They lose about 5 to 10 years of childhood memory, and that they cannot recover because either another alter experienced it and they have those memories and they are keeping them from the host to keep them safe, because we talked about, DID is a coping mechanism to help those that have gone through extreme stress, or it's to ensure that the mind and the body can function properly, because if not, it'll feel like it's just way too much and they will not be able to function whatsoever if every single person had that traumatic memory. So another part of the memory loss is that they will not remember if certain people say hi to them. They'll not remember certain things that they as an alter did not experience, because there is amnesic walls between alters, and they will not remember certain things. So there will be gaps in memory where they won't remember where they placed something because another alter placed it somewhere, or something of that sort. It is real, like we talked about. Memory loss is present. You will obviously realize if you've lost time. So let's say that it's September 5th or something like that, and then you front again, you come out again, and it's September 8th or 9th, and you're whoa, where did this day go and everything? You obviously lost time because other alters were out and you didn't realize it. Obviously, another symptom is people calling you by a different name, and that's because another alter was probably out and you weren't out, so you didn't meet them, and the other alter gave them their name. So if I'm out, for example, and then like another one of my alters, like let's say Patricia or Sally met somebody else and they thought that that was my name, I would be confused because one, I lost time, and by a result I lost memory, and two, I'd be confused because that's not my name, and I'd be confused by who that person was and all that great stuff. Some other symptoms of DID is having different voices or accents between alters. So certain alters can manifest different accents, different voices, especially if they're different genders. They can have different tones of voice, and yes, it's quite interesting as well. They can also have different handwriting styles. So if you notice, like in your notebook, I'm not talking about like, oh, I like to switch my print up here and there, or oh, I had really messy handwriting that day. It's distinct differences in handwriting within your notebook that you do not remember writing. So, yes. And I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about disassociating. So, you might be confused, not concerned, about what disassociating means. And I'll give you an example of how every single like normal person experiences disassociating, because we all disassociate on different levels. And again, it's a spectrum, and DID obviously experiences it at a completely far end of the spectrum. However, disassociating is like similar to when you're driving and you don't remember like that you like passed that street or whatever, or if you realize that you've read like the same page in a book like 5 times and you realize that you just got to the end or something. That's disassociating. However, with DID, it's completely more severe. It can last weeks, days, months, it can last a very long time. And as many people have with DID have explained it, it's like you're looking through 10 sheets of foggy glass and that the entire world doesn't seem like it's real. And this can be extremely hard to live through and just function through as a person. Sorry, I have my notes. So we talked about physical differences as well, like the illnesses, the autoimmune diseases and everything. And I wanted to talk to parents and children that may feel like they're having like episodes or experiencing DID as well. Some of the hardest parts as a child having DID would probably be not understanding what is going on or why you're losing time, why you don't remember certain parts of like your like day, your memory, why you're losing time, just why certain people are calling you different names, especially if you are a different alter that's fronting, why you're even there really. And for the child, it must be extremely difficult as well, seeing like different handwriting styles, not understanding what's going on with their life, really, and what's happening and why it's happening. And for parents, some of the most challenging parts for somebody that has a child that has DID would be understanding that your child experienced this traumatic event that has shaped this extremely like fascinating but also hard disorder to experience as a parent, and understanding that your child experienced this horrible trauma before the age of 8 and seeing that their life will never be the same, and having to come to terms with that and understanding and trying to love all of their alters like they are your own child, and understanding why and understanding how to help them as a parent. And as teachers, some ways that I've seen certain people with DID, how it helps them organize their system, which is all the alters within their body, they call it their system, is trying to, like, especially if the child does have an IEP, that they do have multiple, like, DID, they have, like, different journals to ensure that their system is organized, and another journal that helps them all communicate with each other, so all alters are on the same page about what's happening in the outer world, and can ensure that like tasks are being met, like homework, ensuring that everybody's on the same page, like for tests and lessons and all that great stuff. So just ensuring not only that they're understanding the content, which is like a small part of teaching to a child with DID, but that they are comfortable in your classroom, they're comfortable with you as a teacher, they feel safe in your classroom, and ensuring that they are with students that will not hurt them or trigger anything that can harm them in any way. and ensuring that their needs are being met, and understanding what this disorder is and how you can help better their lives and ensure that they are happy and safe in your classroom, and that they aren't placed next to students that may cause them harm or like trigger a certain like memory or event in their life that will have them have flashbacks or episodes and trigger their PTSD as well. So the reason why this disorder is so important to have covered under IDEA is to ensure that students that have DID have their needs being met and that they aren't just brushed off, because they have the ability to learn. They have the ability to be in a normal classroom. And one of the people that I've talked to that has DID, they graduated like in the top 5 or 3% of their high school graduating class. They aren't, a lot of them actually, different alters have different specialties. So certain alters will be really, really good at science or math or something. Certain alters will be really good at English, literature, art. So that can actually aid them and make them even more incredibly smart as well. And this isn't it sort of is a setback, but it can be seen as and utilized as greatness. You can turn this trauma that happened to you and have this amazing coping mechanism and turn it into something great and be able to be very educated and very smart as long as your needs are being met, and to ensure that you are keeping your mental health in check and ensuring that the student is just safe and learning, and to ensure that they aren't just put off to the side and brushed off to the side just because they have this disorder because they didn't want it. Nobody wants these disorders or to be handicapped or anything. Just ensuring that they have the same opportunities and the same even more accommodations than somebody that does not have DID, because they can accomplish just the same or even more than those that aren't affected. So just some closing notes about DID. I think I touched all the bases that I really wanted to. If you have any questions about it, don't be afraid to comment below. I know this video was kind of long, so if you got this far, thank you for watching. Just DID it may be a rare condition, however, there are people that are affected, and you could pass somebody on the street or have somebody in your classroom, somebody that you work with that is affected by DID, that is highly functioning and an amazing human being, and you would never even know. So I will link all the resources and all the people that I have gotten my information from down below. And if you want to educate yourself a little bit more and are interested more in DID and learning about it, you can go ahead and check those out. But thank you for watching, and I'm looking forward to watching all your guys' videos and essays and PowerPoints, and have a great rest of your day, and I hope you learned something.